So what we're going to do today is training division briefing. This was just what we titled it, but it's more than just that. It's kind of where we've been, where we're going, and what we've done, and all the other kind of stuff. Also, with the we'll have a probationary process rollout again. As you guys know, we've got 8 more guys that are going to hit the floor in about a week and a half. So they'll be out in the field and messing around with all of you guys. So I apologize. I know some of you have read, seen, or heard that when it comes to lecture-based training, we would try to live stream it so you can stay in your first due areas. But I talked with Ops about this, and so far, this is our 6th session of it. We were concerned that there would be a lot of questions, and when we're live streaming, it's hard to get to those questions directly. So that's why we're doing battalion level drill for a lecture-based training. So with that being said, here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to hit the poker schedule. We're going to hit the 3rd quarter training calendar. Reason we're hitting the poker schedule again, even though we've been doing it for 4 years, there's a little bit of creep that's going on with the poker schedule. Things are changing. Things aren't being done the way that we really anticipated it in being done. So we are going to touch on that. 3rd quarter training, Jackie and I will tag team the target solutions review. We'll hit recording completions, the custom drill ground evolutions. New idea came up yesterday that we're going to do and address over the next week or so. Touch on SCBA quarterlies that involve APRs, generating reports, credentials, hit training files, what the training rosters are. We do have 2 of them. Most of us don't know that there are 2 training rosters. So we'll touch on that. Course development worksheets, otherwise known as CDWs, and then review the Proby book and the Proby process. What the district or what Station 60's administration floor plan looks like. One of the rooms changed names, so I just want to bring that to your attention. And then the new video library that we've been working on over the last month and a half or so. The cadre is here right now. They're doing an incredible job. If you haven't seen any of them, we'll show you where the link is located to our Central Pierce Training YouTube channel, and you can go there and review stuff that we have in there. And then what the 2019 goals for the training division are, and what it looks like, and kind of where we're at. We'll just touch on that. So first thing, the poker schedule. This was created about 5 years ago, roughly 5 years ago. We've been using it for about 4 years. Just wanted to hit on it. This first slide here, I wanted to bring forward and remind you all that we're switching to 3rd quarter soon. So you guys are Hearts. You will be the 8 o'clock session in 3rd quarter. Just remember that, you the officers. Circle it, do whatever you do. But again, Hearts move to the 8 o'clock session. This was brought up. James Sobel asked, once we came up with the poker schedule, to rotate it quarterly, so you guys aren't all getting that 3:30 training schedule. That one kind of stinks. So we do it on a rotating schedule, but it was brought up from the last group who were clubs. 3rd quarter, they're moving to the 3:30 to 5:30 schedule. So what we're going to do moving into 2020 is flip everything around again, so clubs don't hit 3rd quarter, 3 o'clock, hottest part of the day, every single year. So each year we'll kind of rotate it around a little bit. So in 2020, diamonds may be at the 3:30 during the 3rd quarter. So more to come on that, but we'll get that fixed. Yeah, you're not scared.
I'm not scared.
Well, you wait. Next year, it's 10. No, that's not going to happen. All right. So this slide here is mainly for, well, it's for everybody. And what this one is hitting on is if you have a conflict with training. So we'll use, who do we say is here? 61? 61. Justin, for whatever reason, you could not make this session. Your engine, because the shop called you at 0700 and said, we need to see you out at the shop at 1000 hours. What we're asking is, don't just pull yourself and go to the shop and then come in for the 1 o'clock session. What that ends up doing is screws up our coverage plan. If you have a conflict, contact your BC and say we need to flip the suits. So just flip the whole thing. Flip hearts and spades. And just let that be known at 0700, 0730. Hey, Spades, you're going at 10:30. Hearts, you're going at 1 o'clock. Then the coverage plan works. Because like right now, 6-1's kind of an anomaly because they have the 2 response rigs there, or 3 response rigs there. But who else? 6-0 is here right now. So 6-0, you're here right now. 6-4, 6-8, 6-5 are running your calls. That's the intent of this. Next one here. Okay, so Captain Collier just showed up. Okay, perfect. Our computer on our TV right there, the computer got fried, so they're getting us a new computer. Active units will be up. But what this slide is trying to get across is right now, the senior ranking officer is the point of contact for our Resource BC. That Resource BC should know that Captain Caldier is here. He's the senior ranking officer. He is the one that Resource BC contacts if units need to go in service. So always designate that person and let that Resource BC know I'm that person. If they can't reach Captain Caldier right now, they can give the the instructor in charge a call. Phone always available. They call and say, hey, I need a unit in service. Okay? Because we go drill when we come to any training event. We need a rig in service, or we need to get that rig to this location, kind of thing. Remember, we broke it up so we can spread the wealth. So we are Hearts. Right now, if the Resource BC called Captain Caldier and said we need a unit, what unit would Captain Caldier put in service? Anybody know? No. Engine 69. So these numbers that correlate with these rigs, this is first month of the quarter, second month of the quarter, third month of the quarter. So we're not picking on engine 60. Just because a call comes in 60, 5s is out, 4s is out, 8s is out, and another call comes in 60's response area, send 69, let 60 stay here. So they get the training. We do that too often. Bill probably remembers it in training. We always picked on, well, that's your area, you take it. No. Let's spread the wealth. So just kind of refresh yourself with this. And if you're the instructor in charge or the senior officer here, know that at the beginning of training, 69, you're the first to go. And then it would be 61 after that in 60s, and then it would be 67. So it just kind of goes numerically. Any questions on who goes and who's in charge of resource management? No? Okay, perfect. Training calendar. Third quarter training calendar looks like this. We used to do a different type calendar that showed all the suits and everything like that. It was just a Microsoft Publisher project, I guess, for lack of better terms. Jackie uses Outlook. So this is saved and posted for each month on the training tab if you want a quick snapshot of what the month looks like. You can go there instead of digging around on the master calendar. Go there and there's your training calendar. And as soon as you hit the training tab, it's the first thing that pops up.
Are you only doing it 1 month at a time?
We do the quarter,
Okay.
but we post it monthly on there.
So we can't put ahead like at the end of the month what's coming up.
The only way you could do that is then through the master. Yeah, but for the month, it's on that front home page. Okay, at least, is that correct, Jackie? Okay. So here's what we're doing in July. We've got active shooter on the docket. We've got ladder truck ops with the TDA, and then we have ladder truck ops with the straight chassis, and then fireground ops on Fridays. Looking through the room here real quick, like, when did you get hired?
Last year on the 8th, July 8th.
So you're just up 1 year right now?
Yep.
Okay. When's the last time you've had active shooter training?
Never.
Never?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a problem. We've got 77 people in the field right now that have never had active shooter training on how we do business with the cops.
We already know who sent in first, so.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Or response to violence. They don't know this. Pierce County Sheriff and Puyallup PD have hired a ton of new people. Not too long ago on B shift, Condra walked into the 6-1 training room and there was a bunch of young cowboy cops in there talking about what they would do on their response to violence and active shooter. And everything they were saying is not policy driven and not procedures. And so Condra brought it forward. I went and talked to Ryan Portman and Mark Berry, and then got Kevin Williams involved and got Flowers from Graham. So in July, we're going to be doing a mutual training with Graham Fire. Graham will be participating in it, and it will be led by Mark Berry, Kevin Williams, and Lieutenant Flowers from Graham. So we need to bring that forward. So we're bringing active shooter forward. Ladder truck ops. It's been a while since we've done ladder truck ops. So we're going to have 6 days of it. 3 for the TDA and 3 for the straight chassis. 1 per shift, basically. The reason being is, you drive a fire engine? You drive one, right? I'm throwing you under the bus right now. Okay? Captain O'Toole, Captain O'Toole,
He's got a few more days.
yeah, says engine 61, supply my stick. Where do you start your pump pressure?
Start at 50.
You start at what?
Start at 50.
Okay. Josh, where would you start?
Me, 100.
Jim?
200.
My point. Okay, you guys played along very well. I heard yesterday 180. I heard another guy 125. I heard one guy stay alive at 135. I heard a lot of different, yeah. And then we heard static and coordinate with the stick, with that person running the stick kind of thing. So we need to bring that forward. Do you have the ability here in 3 days to be third on the ladder truck?
I think so. Yes.
On engine 61, he can be on the stick, right?
What's your
Okay.
last name? Patterson. Huh? Patterson. I think you are like July something. I just put you on
Okay. So, question being, if we short jack the driver's side of that ladder truck, what's that do to the operations of the stick?
I'm not sure.
We have a problem, right? It's been 4 years since we've had ladder truck operations at a battalion level type drill. So that's coming forward also. In August, we continue with active shooter. We're going to do some MCOs that are going to involve aerial master streams, a lot of big water type stuff that we haven't done in a while. Dual pumping, I know Dickin will like that. Eye to eye, all that kind of stuff that we haven't done in a long time. We'll be continuing with the straight chassis because we had to pick up another day in August. We didn't have enough in July. And then fireground ops. Our occupancy for fireground ops for the next 9 sessions, how we do the 3 on A, 3 on B, 3 on C, will be strip malls. And we'll really dive into divisioning out, the Alpha, Bravo, and all those other different divisions. We'll really look at what roof reports look like on a strip mall. How do you recognize a firewall from the roof? All that kind of stuff that we need to know. They're building strip malls everywhere. And as you guys may have heard, Pierce County has approved the, the 25-mile, half-mile wide city within a city concept. Basically, 112th and Pacific to Meridian, 112th and Meridian to 176 in Meridian, 176 in Meridian to 176 in Pacific, and then all the way back to 112th. Half-mile wide, high density, 5 stories or greater, 25 miles long. It's been approved through Pierce County. And still in talks, actually. So anyhow, we really need to look at that high density type stuff in strip mall kind of operations. So we'll continue with a lot of that stuff, and those MCOs will be big water things, and then fireground ops, strip malls and big water and roof reports and such. Okay? Target Solutions, I'm going to move it over to Jackie.
Hi.
Jackie would.
Oh, can I have the clicker? So this will be quick. First, entering completions for yourself. You primarily do that from the homepage of Target Solutions. Your assignments are listed there on the very front, and then you can also go down to the bulletin board, and these are common entries. You can make entries for yourself there, or if you're an officer actor, you can make entries for your crew. Recording completions, that's another option for officers and actors. It's useful for company level drills or any unassigned training. So you get there from the homepage or the admin tab. You select the activity that you're searching for. Sometimes the activity that you've done doesn't always show up in Target Solutions. So if you have trouble finding something, just send me an email or call me and I'm happy to find one or create one for you. And then you select your users, so you'll select yourself and anyone on the crew who did the training. Target Solutions always remembers who was on your list last. So just make sure that everyone on the right-hand side are the correct users. And you can do that, again, by clicking View Users or Edit Users. Credentials in Target Solutions are basically a bucket that holds all of the necessary assignments that need to be completed to complete that credential. So if you click on the credential on the home page, it'll list all of the assignments that need to be completed, and it'll show your progress as you complete them. And then reports. There are lots of different types of reports that you can run in Target Solutions. Incomplete assignments, overdue assignments, what's been completed, and the progress in a credential. So I'm just going to show you an example of a report. So to generate a report, this is for officers and actors. You click on Create New Report. You select your report type. So for this one, we'll do incomplete assignments. Let's say you need to know everyone on your shift who hasn't done the SCBA quarterly yet. You can select this. You can title your report whatever you'd like. And then you'll select the criteria that you want. I always choose first name, last name. You'll do the assignment name, the start date and due date. And then when you scroll down further, you can select the date range that you're looking for the assignment. So for the due date, we'll put this quarter. And then you want to select your users. So you can select specific users where you'll select the names that you want, or you can select groups. So for this one, I selected A shift. So you can select by shift. And then you select the course that you're looking for. So if you select specific, you can select from the activity library. So once you select all of your criteria, you just hit run. It takes a few minutes to load typically, and it'll bring you back to this screen. All of your reports will be listed here. So for the one I just ran, it's SCB second quarter. There's your results, and then if you click on full screen, it'll show you the results there. So this is everyone who needs to still complete their quarterly on A shift. So with that being said, there are tons of different types of reports that you can run. If there's one that you need and you're not sure how to run it, I'm more than happy to run one for you and email it. So just send me an email or call me and I'm happy to show you what you need.
All right, so custom drill ground evolutions. Guys, we created this a few years ago, and since we've done that, our documentation for training has improved tremendously. It's really, really cool. Anybody in the room, I know there's one at least, familiar with WSRB? No, but WQRP. WSRB is the Washington State Rating Bureau. WSRB, that's what it stands for. They come in about every 3 to 4 years and they audit our training, our operations, our response times and things like that, our staffing levels and all that kind of good stuff. And then they forward that information to the ISO for insurance rating purposes. They suggest that all of suppression personnel in Washington State, they suggest 120 hours of training annually, so 10 hours a month. I'm not going to get into the details. There are some ways to reduce that hours by certification levels, but I'm not going to get in there. So a good mark to shoot for is 120 hours per member annually for training. We ran a report for the annual report. Jackie ran it to see where we were at. Central Pierce in 2018, which is kudos to you guys, and I applaud all of you, at least for documenting and getting out and doing the training. Our average number per member was 127 hours, which is unheard of in the state of Washington. There isn't another agency that hit 127 hours per member. Now, that doesn't mean that Luke had 127 hours. Dickin just happened to have 400, and he shared some of his hours with you, kind of thing. But on paper, we're averaging 127 hours per member. So that's pretty cool. And that, a lot of it, I think, has to do with this. I know Captain O'Toole uses the custom drill ground evolutions entry form quite often, especially since he had a probationary firefighter or whatever the case may be. It goes there. So you'll jump in there, date completed, duration, and location. This populates as you pull it up. We broke it down again when we created this. I categorized it into hose, ground ladders, force entry, vent, AutoX, incident command, pumping, and some other things that are also in there. You just go through, you go out, you do an evolution, and because in our custom activities, we built some canned evolutions. If you guys remember those, it said like HEO1, HEO2, SRO1, and stuff like that. It just didn't really jive with what you guys did out there. So we did this because O'Toole took his crew out and he said, I need to tie in tight, pull a line, go to the door, force the door, go in, search the building, extinguish the fire, and hydraulically ventilate. So by going to Custom Drill Grounds Evolution, you just start clicking all of those boxes that you did, and you get the credit for it and the hours for it. So it helped us out tremendously. Little information on this also, we added the NFPA standards on there. And these are JPRs within the 1001 standard for Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2. And there's also some stuff in there for 1002, which is the driver operator NFPA standards. So those are in there. And the reason we did that is it all stems from the Pierce College hazmat incident that we had investigated. When they came to us and they said, we need a report of all of your officers, we need to know how much training they had on incident command. How much training did your entry team have on donning and doffing? How much training did your pump operator have in pumping and stuff like that? So we pulled a report and it was very generic. If you guys remember back in the day, we used to say hose wet. Remember entering that? Hose wet? Hose wet or hose dry? What does that mean? What did you do on the drill ground if it says hose wet? But what lines? Don't know. So very generic. So we broke it down more in detail. So now if Goff goes out on this fire, hydraulically ventilates, something goes sideways because Goff doesn't know any better, and his cone of influence was outside of the window frame instead of inside the window frame, and he cooked himself in there like a boiling hot dog, we have an issue. LNI is going to come in. LNI is going to say, when is the last time that Goff was trained on hydraulic ventilation? Jackie pulls the report. We give it to LNI. We say, well, January 17th of 2019, Goff practiced hydraulic ventilation. They're going to turn around and their next thing they're going to ask us is, well, what did you guys do? Well, we did 5.3.11 under NFPA Standard 1001. They're going to say, what does that mean? Go look it up. It's right there, 5.3.11. Everything that we did on the drill ground is covered in that JPR. We're done doing the work for them. Let them do the work on their end. We spent over a year in this investigation digging up reports and dialoguing with L&I because they don't understand our language and they want everything in black and white. So we added the standards to all the categories that could be affected by that, or maybe not affected is the right word, but that pertain to that skill set. When we got investigated, like I said, it was binder after binder after binder after binder in reports, and they said that we were lacking in IC training. Why was that? Semantics. We entered IC training as blue card instead of saying incident command training. When we pulled the report, they said, well, what is blue card? State didn't recognize blue card. We said, well, it's our incident command system that we use for type 4 and type 5 incidents. Well, what is type 4 or type 5? So we had to go down that rabbit hole also. But anyhow, we explained it to them, and they said, well, blue card is not recognized ICS. Well, yes, it is. Here it is by iChiefs. Here it is by IFSTA. Here it is by NIMS. They recognize it for type 4, type 5. We ended up sitting in the Attorney General's office with Pat Dale, lead instructor for blue card, John Brunacini, one of the creators of blue card, on the phone, and they still didn't want to accept it until we physically jumped on the computer with them, asked the assistant attorney general, to pull up bshifter.com, go to the homepage. So as soon as you do it, dashboard opens up, the homepage opens up, and it says Incident Command Training for the Fire Service. That's how they finally recognized it's Incident Command Training. So again, long-winded of why these are up here, but they're up here for a more defendable stance in any type of investigation. And then a couple more things that are here. Drill ground search, SCBA emergency procedures. Understand this, if you go out and Goff and Durant and Moan go out and they start doing something and they tie in tight, they pull the line, they force the door, they go in, they search, they put their packs on, they extinguish the make-believe fire, they hydraulically ventilate, and then Goff goes, hey, I got to get my quarterly done. Let's tether up real quick, go some emergency procedures, check our pass devices, filter breathe a little bit, do whatever we do, and then go out. Durant goes back to the station, he enters in the custom drill ground activity, and he collects SCBA emergency procedures. That will not take away your quarterly. It counts for it, but it won't remove that quarterly from your queue. He would either have to do an SCBA quarter, second quarter, go to that assignment, that activity, include the crew that did it, then it would remove, or Durant looks at Goff and says, go to your target solutions, go to your SCBA quarterly, and hit submit as complete. So my point to it is, by checking that box, it will not remove your quarterly. Just please understand that. And then lastly on this, if you go out and you do this, and you recognize or realize that there's something not on this checklist, in that comments box, just put, hey, can you add this under this category? And we'll add that there. Just recently, we didn't have a high lift jack under AutoX, so we just added high lift jack to it. I forgot it when I was trying to build this. Okay? One thing that was brought up yesterday at the 8 o'clock. So, Moan, you have a Proby at 67 with you?
No.
But you did?
Yeah.
Did you ever ask that probationary firefighter to train you guys on C-spine precautions? Or
I can't say that directly, but we occasionally come in and teach classes.
teach classes on EMS components?
Yeah.
How did you document that training?
Oh, I did.
Didn't. That's no bueno. That's no bueno, right? We need to document that training.
It's documented on their daily log.
It's documented on their daily log, but can I pull that report?
I don't know if you can. You can't except for that.
Right.
But the training is documented. It's not, probably not documented.
Or for hours for that folks. So what was brought up is build another one of these checkbox type forms strictly for EMS. Have different categories. Here's cardiac emergencies, here's airway emergencies, C-spine precautions, and so forth and whatever and whatnot. So when you have that ad hoc training at your station, you can jump on and click the boxes and everybody gets the credit for it. It just helps us out. You're all familiar with Pat McNeely from West Pierce. You all know what happened to him about 20 years ago, 25 years ago? Longer than that, actually. They were doing a training with paddles, okay? The old monitors, the old defibs, and he had his knee on it wasn't even training, excuse me. It was actual patient, and they were shocking the patient. Clear, everybody clear, let's all stand clear, blah, blah, blah. Shock, whack. Pat McNeely went down, and I forget who it was, but gave him a precardial thump, and he came back out of it. But he literally got shocked by having his knee on the patient. Point being is, if that was ever investigated, they're going to come back and say, where was the training on these not the defib, but the paddles for Pat McNeely? So again, we need to document, just as much as we do suppression training, we need to document EMS training also. So we're going to build a little cheat sheet, and that'll happen in the next week or two kind of thing. I'll probably make some phone calls to some medics and say, what do you want in these categories? So I need help, we need help in creating that. SCBA quarterlies, just remember that last one where the arrow is. A shift just about a week ago came out. Lieutenant Santos was doing SCBA quarterlies out here for you guys. Remember, APRs that are involved are also part of your quarterly. It has to be done because it's respiratory protection. It's not district driven, it's state driven, state law driven. It's respiratory protection. You need to train on it quarterly. Don and Doffett look at the components and make sure it's functional. Or at least try to go locate it, Luke.
That's 640.
Okay. All right. Training files. Training, training files, just so you guys know, about every 2 years we do a promotional exam. And Captain Caldier comes running to me and he says, hey, I need a copy of all my training files. I need this cert, that cert, this cert, and all this other kind of stuff. Just so you're all aware, it's done electronically for you. A couple people came in on light duty. They had the most tedious job of scanning all the certs and making them electronic for you. They're on the S drive on every computer. You go to the S drive, go to the training tab, and then click certification training forms. This will then populate here on the right-hand side. You find your name, you click on that, another folder will open, and there will be an officer file, a driving file, a firefighter file, a medic file, an EMT file, a miscellaneous file, and a NIMS file. All of the certs that we have on record with you are in there. If you know you've had something, but you don't see that cert in there, go back and look in your shoebox, look in your personal file cabinet, look somewhere for it if you want it in there. If you have certs at home that you think are pertinent, send, scan, email them to Jackie. She will upload them onto your electronic file and then also put a hard copy in your paper file down at the TC, or up at the TC, I should say. So they're all located in there. And it happened recently with Wes when he was applying for the temporary lieutenant in training. One of the prerequisites, you must be instructor 1. He knew he had it, but he didn't have the cert. We didn't have the cert. It wasn't in his shoebox. Couldn't find it, couldn't locate it, almost prevented him in testing for the position or getting the position, getting appointed the position, until I jumped onto the Washington State Patrol site, searched his name, and found, like in 2002 from Bates, he had a cert, but the state still had it on file. So if you know you have something, let us know. If you can't find it, we'll help dig for it in other avenues and get it updated into your personal file. Yes, sir.
I've got a T-shirt that says Professional Bikini Inspector. So I can bring a copy of that.
Absolutely. If you want it in there, sure, not a problem.
Certification.
Okay. Training rosters, we have 2 of them. We have they're located on the training tab under quick links. We have training roster and we have blue card roster. The reason for the differences is because of the B shifter curriculum and what they mandate for. So a certified incident commander, Durant and Caldier and O'Toole, we need you to use the blue anytime you're doing blue card training or fire ground ops. We want to use the blue card roster, and we can change the name to fire ground ops roster if that's the case. And it has what occupancy type we're doing, because blue card requires that O'Toole over a 3-year period it plays the role of IC1 and IC2 for all 5 occupancy types. And so we need that documented. So we ask that you use that, check the box that we're doing, and we call that. Every other type of training can be this roster. It's not a big deal. So just remember. Yes?
Do actual incidents count?
No. It used to, live incidents, yes. But what happened, let me back up. I don't want to give you misinformation. Do live incidents work? Yes, if we have a way of documenting it. If you guys remember, not too long ago, at every fire we went to, we would have a hot wash where the battalion chief would fill out a roster. That no longer is happening. So it would work, but we're not doing it. So if you want to look at that again and address it again, go through your chain of command and get it going moving forward. Okay? Class requests. Here we go. This is always fun. All right. Class requests. I have told every session and everybody that walks in my office, you give me the worst thing you hate to do, and I'll do it for the rest of my life for you if you take over class requests. It is that much of a pain in the backside. We have it. We have a policy on them. The policy is very vague, and there's no process set. Paying for a class is not a big deal. I'm asking for help. I can't make a decision out of my small little mind on how class request process should work. I need the help from you. If you have ideas, please send them to me. Here's the issue. Paying for a class is not a big deal once approved. So Luke wants to go to XYZ class. He puts in for it. He gets authorized to go to the class. Very simple. The problem is, where's our hard bars in here? Durant, we're going to use you right now because you're going to be very soon. So, well, okay, well, it's still soon, all right? Okay, so here I'm going to give you the scenario. O'Toole, Caldier, and Durant. Hard bar, hard bar, hard bar. No rank involved. Hard bar, hard bar, hard bar. All put in for XYZ class. But we only have the money to send one of them. How do I choose between these three hard bars? Fairly. By height? Alphabetical order. Durant, Caldier gets to go, I guess. Because you're a B and a C. So how do I choose it? Suggestion. Seniority. Somebody said it, right? Bellary, was that you? Or O'Toole? Seniority. Okay? Okay?
So the people that have been doing the job longest get to go to all the training in place of the people that are trying to learn the job. That makes a lot of sense.
That's one way of looking at it. But the other what was that?
How about just the best reason?
The best reason they submit in their class request why they want to take it?
Like Durant is going to be teaching for the training division and the class applies.
Mm-hmm.
But Collier just wants to go because it's in Vegas and he wants to gamble. So that's the best reason is Collier sent him. But I'm just saying.
No, I get you. Best reason. And we look at that. We look at that. What is
Most appropriate.
we look at that? What is pertinent to the position that they currently hold? Okay, but it's a brand new class. We don't know anything about this class, but it looks good on paper, and they have references that they utilize, and this is where they got their information from. The instructor, everything else. I still don't know because it's a leadership class. They're in leadership roles.
You get paid the big bucks to make that decision.
I need help. I need help, Goff.
No.
All right, I'm going to tell Wilson to give you no doors. No doors ever for you.
What do you think there's
Just
some
call
obvious
it.
solution?
Call it voluntarily.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like all your ideas, Brian. I think those are great. In the new policy that we have right now, it's policy 618. We've updated it. We're going through the process now through labor management, trying to get it approved and or adopted. But that is one of them in there also is there any flexibility with the individuals that are going? Maybe the two of you are going to share a room and we only have to buy 2 rooms instead of 3 rooms. Work on it on the financial side of things. It's a very difficult process. Just so you guys understand, I've called Phoenix Fire, I've called Tualatin Valley, I've called East Pierce, West Pierce, Graham, and asked all of their organizations, how do you do it? And some use stipends. Stipends wouldn't work for us unless they gave us $1 million. Because even if they give us $70,000 for discretionary training, 250 people, that's $232 a person. $232 isn't getting you anything or anywhere, kind of thing. Registration for most classes are more than that. So anyhow, a lot of things. Again, I'm asking if you have any ideas of how the selection process for outside training could work. Please send it to myself and Jackie because we got to figure it out. I need something fair, and I can't just stand up here, drop the fist or the gavel, and say this is the way. I want to work with everybody and try to make it fair. Just so you guys are aware, we're not entertaining, but we're going down this path too. If it's Brothers in Battle, as an example, or it's Aaron Fields nozzle forward, or it's Billy Joe, Jim Bob's underwater basket weaving, bringing the instructor here and getting more bang for our buck. The cost versus value thing works out for us a little bit better. I'd rather pay the instructor $4,000 to come in and train all of our folks instead of spending $3,000 to send 3 people away. That's part of it also. In this policy, it is that if we send Bill Dickin to XYZ class, part of this policy spells out that Bill Dickin will then report back with a synopsis of what he learned. If he feels there's value to train the rest of the district to that skill level that he just got, then there's that vetting process also. The synopsis would come in, we would look at it, we would send it to Ops would sit down with Bill would then turn around and build a lesson plan, a CDW, We would come up with the dates and we would propose it and get it, and then training would help facilitate the training and get it done. So again, as we send people out to training, we're going to be asking for basically a direct report back. Because there is a lot of people, and it was said yesterday, well, there's value going to these conferences just to rub elbows. No, there's not. And they use the word networking also. No, it's neat and it's cool and it's fun, and you can go out and have a beer with somebody and listen to how their department does something, but really, you're there for other reasons. So anyhow, class requests. But the one thing that needs to happen, and I need to really, really get this across, and this happens often, and it just happened again. We cannot have, I mean, you can still do it, but it's going to look like something on the end here. We cannot have a person submit a class request that says, I have already paid for it. To secure my spot, I'm asking for reimbursement. That happens quite often. What you're going to get from me is approved, you pay. We're not reimbursing because you were never authorized to pay this money anyhow. The other reason that we're going to say approved, but it's on your dime for legal reasons. If you go to training XYZ, Brothers in Battle, or this pumps class, what do you think? If you're going to a pumps class, do you think you're going to do hands-on? If you go to Brothers in Battle with Forcible Entry, you're going to do hands-on? Whose gear are you going to use? Ours, but you were never approved. Would you go out to Station 69 and grab engine 6609 and just take off without any approval? So how is that any different than using our bunkers without any approval? $4,500 set of equipment, you rip them, who's paying for them? It's on you. So don't just take our equipment and go to some XYZ training without approval. It may say approved department to pay, off you go. We'll give you everything you need. Approved you to pay, off you go. We'll give you all the equipment you need. It covers your butt for L&I because the department is now aware that you're attending this training, and also gives you the approval to use our equipment. Okay? So again, you can still submit it, but you're probably going to see approved you to pay. Per policy, current policy 618 right now, it says you will submit your class request within 30 days prior to the class because it gives us time to register you, approve you, and get everything ducks in the row, maybe backfill you even, right? That gives us that ability. We understand that things like that do come up. Every effort possible to contact myself, Jackie, or the immediate, if it's an EMS, let's say it's an EMS, Andy, it's an EMS class that you need to take, contact Beckman. Beckman will shoot me hey, I'm sending Andy to this class. We understand that. Again, our fire chief, Chief Olson, is very big on the 90 percentile. 90% of the time we need to do this, but we understand 10% of the time we need to call an audible. No different than flies in versus flies out. Our standard way of doing business, flies in. Goff, why did you put it flies out? Well, I thought there was a potential for a rescue out of the second floor. Good, justified, way to go. Way to think ahead kind of thing. Okay? So enough on class requests. If you have some ideas, please send me an email, send Jackie an email. We're going to work on this. We're going to try to make it fair for everybody. The one thing about on class requests also, remember it's done by SharePoint, Microsoft SharePoint. There's no way to RSS feed you an email. That automatically happens. If we go in and make a change to it, it doesn't send you an alert saying we've made a change to your class request. So Luke goes in, he submits a class request. It's upon him to go back and continue to monitor that class request for any updates. Look at it. Don't just go in and look at the approved. Okay, done. I got approved. Luke may have put in for per diem, lodging, airfare, registration, mileage, the whole thing, but I denied mileage. And I said in the comments, mileage not approved, take a pool car. Okay? So, yeah, a Prius, and we're giving you 58 cents a mile. So, go in. It's upon you to monitor your class requests. Course development worksheets, I'll fall on my own sword again. They're located, quick links in the training tab. If we ask Goff to come in and teach force entry, he needs to complete a course development worksheet. Again, this isn't district driven, this is state driven. We need documentation of this lesson or of this class. It's kind of like a lesson plan, but we call it a course development worksheet. It looks like this, a lot like the training request form. Goff would go in, force entry, propose dates. Him and I have already talked. Here's are the dates. He's the lead instructor. Todd Nola is the other instructor or the adjunct instructor. What this does for me is once approved, I look at it. Goff needs these dates. He's on duty this day. Nola's on duty this day. It allows me to then get a hold of the staffing BC or the staffer and say, please backfill Todd Nola and Jim Goff on these days from this time to this time. I don't have to chase Goff down and say, who are your other instructors and what days are you working? He puts the dates. I go to his calendar. He's working this day. He's backfilled. You go in, location or the drill, location of drill. It's a classroom. What's the physical location, or it's a drill ground. And then we ask for evaluations. I think all of you are aware when you get a certification and it says certification of completion. What does that mean? Anybody? Huh? What does completion mean? It means you've taken a class. Certification of competency. What does that mean? What's that? No. Competency means you were evaluated. You gained knowledge from the course. Completion doesn't, that certificate of completion, the weight of that is not even the weight of that piece of paper that it's on. Competency means you have gained knowledge from it. There was some type of an evaluation done where you learned from it. Again, it gives us more validity, gives us more weight, gives us a defendable stance. And you. I've learned from this. So, and then references. What am I talking about references? What does that mean? Don, what does that mean?
You want the NFPA or whatever standard your class falls under.
Mm-hmm. And again, for that same reason, legal reasons. Where did you gather this information for? So Jim Goff, when you taught force entry, did you follow any NFPA standard? Sure you did, 1001 standard. Did he follow any district policies? Yeah, whatever policy that falls under in 400s. Did you reference any materials? IFSTA, Delmar, Jones and Bartlett? Yep. Document where you got it. Is it WAC 296-305? Is it WAC 296-824? Is it CFR 29- whatever, federal law? So put down where you're gaining your materials. Aaron Fields, where did you get your information for nozzle forward? Nowhere. I just thought of it myself. Not a lot of weight to that. Okay? Aaron Fields, I'm sorry. I just used you as an example. We're asking if we ask anybody to come in and teach. Bill teaches a lot of the EVIP stuff. We already have a course development worksheet created for that. We have a lesson plan for it, not needed, but we call Bill out to do some pump operations. Josh Luke for ladders, we pull him out. Bellery for FMS or whatever it is. We need a course development worksheet, and where are you getting it from? PXT, when they do it, they reference Turk and WHOR, whatever it is. Okay, Proby book. Moving forward on here. Here in a week and a half, July 8th, I don't know who's on duty, but you're going to receive, A shift is, and I think A shift is getting 4 or 3? 3. So you're going to see 3 new probationary firefighters on there. It is going to be the electronic book again, the one through Target Solutions. They'll get that assigned to them either today or tomorrow. Electronic book seems to be working. I understand it's a little cumbersome, but it's better than a 3-ring binder. Okay? After section 2, which is equivalent to about 3.5 months on probation, they'll switch to their new officer. So you guys are aware, training division has nothing to do with selection process of what officers get it. Ops and James Sobel created a flow path that they're going to follow. This will be the second time that we've done it. They did it for class 18-1 and now 19-1. I believe if you get a probie when they first get out of the academy, July 8th, you won't get a second one. I believe that's how that's working. A new officer gets it. You don't receive. We're not swapping anymore. It's going to it's impacting another crew. We're still doing daily logs, shift evaluations, and section evaluations. As it spells out right here, the probationary firefighter is the one in charge of starting their daily log. They do their daily log. They call their officer into the office. Here's my daily log. The officer looks at it, reads at it, says, I concur with everything you wrote. Submit as complete. Set evaluations, the officer starts it. They get in there. They type up the evaluations. It's just fillable form. Write good evaluations. Write honest evaluations. And then they save it and assign it to that probationary firefighter. Section evaluations, the officer starts it again, they save it, and they assign it to the probationary firefighter. When the probationary firefighter gets it, they pull the officer in there, they review it together, submit as complete. Durant. In the expectations for the officer's responsibility, it says section evaluations include your BC. The BC, so when you save and assign it, not only to Patterson, but to Jimmy Mack also. It'll go into Jimmy Mack's queue, Jimmy Mack can read it, Jimmy Mack can delete it or submit it as complete. One of the BCs yesterday said they want to see all the set evaluations also. That's communication between you, the officers, and that BC. So just find out what it is they want. But expectation is section evals will go to the BC also. Okay? Exams, still doing a midterm, still doing a final, but we're not doing any quizzes. Okay? Driving capabilities. Here's always one that's interested. We're looking at it again. We're going to be reviewing the probing process. Once these current recruits come out, we'll have from July through January to review the probing process and make whatever changes that we need to do again to it. But they're driving. They can drive routine, but not to a call. Okay? So they can drive to training. They can drive back to the station from training. They can drive to the store. They can drive to the shop as long as they're being directly supervised by either the qualified driver or the officer. They can drive. If you're driving from here to there and a call comes out, hit the e-brake, switch the two, and off you go. They're not driving to calls. Once they get their driving checkoff sheets assigned to them, they can begin driving to calls, both routine and priority, because that is part of their checkoff.
And when do those get assigned?
Currently, they get assigned at completion of their final and their practical, but we are going to change that for class 19-1. At the beginning of their fourth section, those assignments are going to come out. So they have that whole 6 weeks to start working on it also. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're still doing the same thing. Their first shift, after recruit class, they show up to the station, they run as the fourth. Even if your driver and your third call in sick, we will fill them with overtime. They are to be the fourth. This is the the next slide kind of shows it, but they are to be the fourth. They're really just phantom staffing that first shift. Okay, and then once they have completed their probationary process, their final, both practical and written, I send an email to the BCs and the staffers saying Patterson is ready to be assigned his 2 12-hour shifts as third on a medic unit. And I believe, Bill, you've been getting those? Yeah, so once they go to Bill, Bill talks to whomever it is, Chief Wright, I'm ready to assign these guys, what days, whatever, however you guys do business. So they go do that and they run as a third on the medic unit. Questions on the key points? Okay, good. This is what the probationary firefighter will see on their dashboard of Target Solutions. As soon as they finish Recruit Academy, boom, this pops up, and it's their book. They click on that book. These things happen. They start seeing all of their assignments that they have, and they see where their progress is. The top one is their overall progress. The other ones are just as they complete assignments. So, for instance, instructions. First day they get this, they read their instructions, they go through it, they read all of this, they submit it's complete. That bar right there where it says 0 of 1 circled 0% will read 100%. They've read, they've acknowledged that they understand what their responsibility is. Officers, every officer and actor in the organization within the next week will just have this, officers' responsibilities, assigned to them. They need to read it, acknowledge it, submit it as complete. The reason we do every officer is because of overtime and shift trades. So Justin calls in sick, Durant comes in to work for Justin. He doesn't have a probate. He needs to understand what the process is and what his expectations are for that day in that seat for that probationary firefighter. First shift review and checkoffs. We created this, and I believe even Bill was big on this when he was still in the training division, because when Patterson showed up his first day at, what was your first station? 6-7, okay. With Captain Collier? Oh, then I'm sure you probably sat out in the parking lot for a few minutes going, oh, it's 6 o'clock a.m. Do I go in? Do I not go in? What should I bring in? Should I start making noise? Where do I put my gear? What bed is mine? What locker is mine? Oh, heavens, I don't know any of this crap, right? It's nerve-wracking.
As it should be.
As it should be, okay? But It's nerve-wracking. So we created this. It wasn't just me. It wasn't Jackie. It wasn't Ashley. It was a collaboration of a bunch of people that created this. And it just helps spell out. When you show up, Captain, my name is Patterson. Good. That captain should know right away. This is where I want your gear. This is how I want you to report. I need you to print this up. I need it on the table. This is your bed. This is your locker. Here's the cleaning supplies. Here's the bathrooms. Here's this. That bell rings. That's who you go. This is the way to the front door. All that stuff is spelt out on this first shift review thing. As soon as they get that all completed and check all the boxes, they submit as complete. And that right here, first shift review and checkoff, would read 100%. Make sense so far?
Yep.
Okay. Policies. Patterson, how many times did you see the same policy from the date you got hired to right now?
Quite often.
Quite often. Jackie went through the policy algorithm because what ended up happening is too many chiefs in this teepee kind of thing. HR would assign policies to you, then the academy staff would assign policies to you, and operations would assign policies to you, and you started seeing the same policies. Well, that's been straightened out. You should only see the policy one time until it's updated. Okay? And what we're asking is when you do your policy reviews with your crew, it's not read the policy verbatim. It's you read the policy and then explain to your crew what this policy means and document in your words what this policy means. Okay? Questions? Nope. Moving forward. Task sheets. How often did you guys use his task book? A lot? Good. Okay. I'm taking an unofficial poll right now if we want to keep those task books. 19.1 will get them in this review of the policy process or probationary process. We're going to look at it. Is it even needed? Because it's not a book that you turn in. It's not a book that's evaluated. It's just to help you when you went from Captain Caldier to Lieutenant Santos. He could look at it and see where he was. That's basically what it was for. But anyhow, so the hands-on training. This is a tack line, 1 3/4 from the officer's side. Hit that skill sheet that's right there. It just helps explain what it is that we're looking for that drill to look like. Okay? So that's in there, and it's kind of redundant with the task book, but the task book had all those task sheets laminated, so you could take it on the drill ground and it wouldn't get wrecked. That's basically the task sheet thing that you fill out. And it just kind of helps, with the notes. So you're with Captain Caldier. You continue trying to pull the line from the officer side, but you keep going to the driver's side for whatever reason. You did it on this day, this day, this day, this day. Captain Caldier's notes are, you're a knucklehead and you're never going to get this right. When he got passed off to Santos, Santos could look at this and go, dude, do you know what side of the rig is the officer's side? We're going to go do it one more time. Okay? And that's just what the task sheets look like. Okay, so again, this is just kind of reiterating what we hit on first. The person in charge of the daily log that starts it is the probationary firefighter. The person that does the set evaluation or begins it is the officer, and the section evaluation is the officer. Okay? And this is just how they're notified, start date, due date, and then how you're going to get these assignments. It'll be emailed to you. Grade performances. We put these in here. They were defined for you of what they mean, 1 through 4. 1, you're a turd. 4, you're a rock star. 2, you need some help. And 3, you're just an average Joe. It is tough. And I learned from a guy that sat in the same office with me for a long time. It's tough, but honesty is the best path. If the guy needs help, if the person needs help, write it down. Don't be the nice guy because you don't want to be a bad guy. This is a 30-year investment. And if the person is just not getting it, it needs to be documented. Let's get rid of this 30-year document before they hinder us for 30 years. So just be honest. Be factual and be honest in your evaluations. Sometimes truth hurts. And for those of you that have kids, your kids know that. Truth hurts. We get in trouble. CPS shows up. So save and assign. Okay, so administration floor plan. We're cruising. This is the same thing happened yesterday. The second session was just, let's
I'm
go.
hungry, ready for lunch.
Dude, I saw your breakfast.
Bro, it was good, son.
Yeah, it was big too. All right, so the floor plan at Station 60, you're all pretty familiar with it again. MPR is the big room with the 4 screens that are hard to read from. Right there, the furthest west. The DOC, that's the name change. The DOC is now the CTC is now the DOC. We were going to try to make it our command training center, but it's now the department's operations center. So if we go to Hurl, it's already set up in there. Chief Gashio and Chief Kent built it. They have TVs, they have surfaces in there, they have the paperwork, they have the phone, they have everything. So if we go to Hurl, that's the new 6-1, basically. That's where everybody will run to. Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. I do. I know. And they're orange. Orange is not a good thing. All right. So that's the DOC. Over here, I call the principal office. It's behind Chief Kent and Chief Porter's office, and that is the administration conference room. Typically, none of you will go in there unless you've done something really, really good or really, really bad, and the chief needs to talk to you. Okay? That's the principal's office. And the other name for this is the morgue. Okay. And then obviously this is the dirty classroom and Garden's House of Pain, or whatever we call it. Wayne's World. Wayne's World out here. All right. So the video library. This is something that I've been wanting to do, or we, I should say, have been wanting to do for a very long time. At Central Pierce, the only standard we have that pertains to firefighter training, the 1001 standard, is the academy. We don't have standards. Because when Andy Moan went through his academy, what year? 98. I will bet you when Patterson was training with you, Patterson probably heard these words, "What are you doing? That's not how we do it." Patterson's next words were probably, "This is how I was taught." Probably happened.
This is how it's taught, sir.
Sir, yes. Okay? So we're building a video library. The cadre is here right now. AJ is part of it also. They're anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minute videos, and we're basically handed them every task sheet that we have for firefighter 1 and 2, the NFPA standard 1001. They're capturing the way that we teach it in the academy. So when Durant has a probationary firefighter and the probationary firefighter goes to Lieutenant Durant and says, "I need to do this, this, and this," here they are. Durant can say, "Okay, morning meeting, get on our YouTube channel and pull up those videos so the crew can review it before we go hit the drill ground." So we don't have that, "I've never seen this" type stuff. We have the link to our YouTube channel now on the training tab, and it says it's in the quick links, and it says CPFR training YouTube channel or something like that. What's the exact words, Jackie? Something.
CPFR training.
Yeah, CPFR training YouTube. You click on that, all the videos are there. Yes, we've allowed Squad 1 to take some ownership in this, so at the end of each video, it's a Squad 1 production, but I've been asked if they can make that plane crashing. Because Squad 1, one guy blew his back out from sneezing. There you go, one. Another guy hurt his shoulder carrying groceries.
I believe we have a shaved head with a seizure.
Yeah. So anyhow, so they may change that to a crashing airplane. The good thing is, if anybody knows anything about this plane, this is a decommissioned jet. So maybe Squad 1's decommissioned. Either. Yeah. All right. So that video library is up. It's running about, how often are we putting videos up? About 2 a week. And we're hoping to just let it continue to grow. So the goals, I'm not going to go through all of this. This is what the chief gave me for gave the training division for 2019. These goals live on the info portal also under the training chiefs, under the fire chiefs tab. You go to operational goals are there, and it'll give you the status of where we are with them. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I do want to hit on a couple things I messed up today. We have battalion level drill, and I apologize that it's lecture based and we didn't stream it, but typically there's been a lot of questions. But today I should have backfilled engine 609 and put them down at 7.3 all day because 7.3 is out here doing a final. I messed up. I screwed up. I didn't staff that rig today. I apologize for that. So we're rolling the dice, hoping that we don't get too busy during this final. The other thing is, view the possibility of shifting to the Washington State Apprentice Program. That is JATC. We have been looking at this for years, and we finally had our first meeting with labor management, and we're moving forward with it. We're looking at options. Everybody familiar with JATC? I don't know, Bill is, anybody else? What it is Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. It's in Washington State. It's not just fire-based. It's for electricians. It's for contractors. It's for plumbers. It's an apprentice program. It has some financial incentives for us, and it has some personal incentives for all of us. It's pretty cool. Example being is we're technically doing the apprentice program right now through our step books. That's really what the JATC program is. Our first class, our third class, second class, and first class books is basically what the JATC program is, except they just reverse the numbers and say a 1, 2, and a 3 instead of a 3, 2, and a 1. So we're looking at it. We're negotiating. Some of the financial incentives that we have with it is like these 8 recruits that are in the academy right now. If we were in the program at successful completion of the academy, JATC would reimburse us $2,000 per member in the academy. We would receive a check from them for $16,000 to help offset some of the cost of the academy. Pretty cool. The other thing that it does for us is it helps you work on your fire science AA. So Patterson, 1 year into our organization, at completion of his academy that he went to 9 months ago, whatever, 7 months ago, that he went to, he would have roughly had a third of his credits needed for his AA in fire service, or fire science. Over his next 2 years, while he's working on his steps, at completion of that 3 years, he will have conducted 6,000 hours of on-the-job training, 2,000 each year, and he would be more than 2/3 of the way towards his AA in a 3-year process. In that 3-year process, he would have to put in 2,000 hours, and he'd have to complete 5 RSI classes: strategy and tactics, hydraulics, building construction, protective systems, and code enforcement or something like that. You would have to do that because you're within the program and you're a new person. You're less than 3 years in our organization. No questions, you have to do it. You complete those. The only thing you now have to complete for your AA is your academic courses, your science, your math, your college courses. You finish that, you have your AA. So pretty cool, and it's paid for basically through JATC. So those 5 classes that I talked about through Bates, and we're affiliated with Bates when we're in the JATC program, cost us $620 per class. But if you graduate the class or complete the class with a C grade or a 2.0 or better, JATC will reimburse us $578 of that cost tuition. So it really costs the district upwards of $60 to send you. Not a bad gig. Here's the I don't want to say it's not a stumbling block, but here's the one thing. So I just mentioned anybody with 3 years or less time in have to do those courses. Bill Dickin, 30 years here, you still have to get your journey tag. But Bill will be, or anybody with more than 3 years in the organization will be grandfathered 5,000 of the 6,000 hours. You then have 6 months to get 1,000 of OJT, on-the-job training. You really don't have to do anything other than come to work. And if you don't take more than 24 shifts off in that 6-month period of time, you would get your 1,000 hours. And then you get your journey tag. The one stipulation we have with JATC is everybody's in. If one person's out, Central Pierce is out. So everybody has to be in the program.
What if you already have your fire science degree?
You already have your fire science degree. Then you just have to get your 1,000 hours to get your journey tag.
Well, I'm out. Let's just stop right there. I'm out.
Yes.
Just building on that, Chief, so you guys know, base is in the process. Their financial year starts July 1st, and they made it through all the cuts through the state, and they've been awarded $2.8 million to hire people to design a new fire station, fire school.
Yep.
Which will end up being off campus because there's not enough room there. They'll be building a new one down the road.
Yep.
And along with that, they're going to become a satellite campus for Wazoo.
Go Cougs.
I mean, yeah. And for guys like us that are working stuff now, we can take classes
Mhm.
with Bates, Wazoo,
Yep.
and get a 4-year degree.
Correct.
In fire science.
Yep.
So they're in the process of negotiating that and doing that.
Yeah, I went to the breakfast when the assistant dean of WSU came there and explained all of that. So yeah, it was a great meeting, and it's benefiting us, especially in that JATC program. We're affiliated with Bates. We get reimbursed, and we could start working on our BA in a lot of different areas, and fire science, fire administration, and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you, Bill. That's absolutely 100%. So. We're negotiating it. We're in talks right now with labor management. Hopefully something happens and we move forward and we get this in our organization. The other thing it does for us, if Patterson in 2 years from now decides, I don't want to work at Central Pierce any longer, he's got his journey tag and he decides to go to Puget Sound Fire Authority. Or is that what they call it? Puget Sound Fire Authority? He decides to go there because they're in the JATC program. You may go in as a probationary firefighter, but you're going to be paid at your journey level or first class level. You don't have to go back in time. Just the probationary process. You get paid at what you earn because you're a journey. So that's no different than the electrician's world. I know Bill's sons are both journeymen. They can go from where they currently work to another place and they go in as a journeyman. Okay? So. That is what I got. Is there any questions? Anything you guys got to ask of me? Sorry if I put you to sleep, but I think it was pertinent to get out there what we're doing and how the probationary process looks at and what's coming forward.